Hello, this is Deborah from the attic, and today I've got the latest Simon Says stamp kit to share with you. This is the January 2019 card kit. I'm going to start with all the little bits and bobs that you get because there's quite a few sort of little extra things in this kit. There are two sets of pom-poms. There are some small white ones, and then there are some slightly larger pom-poms in different colours. Lollipops for me. This is so useful. There's a little bottle of glossy accents. This is a clear dimensional medium and it's such a useful tool to have in your kit. There is a jelly roll pen. This is white. There's also white thread on a bobbin. This has got a bit of a sheen to it, this thread. It's not like a dull flat cotton. I wanted to get those out of the way so I can focus on the rest of the things in the kit. And I'm going to get rid of the stamp set first because I don't want this shining at you from underneath the paper pad. So this little stamp set is beautiful. It's called Snow Much. I absolutely love the little penguins. They're so sweet. This little penguin has got some ice skates on. This little penguin is just standing looking at you. There's a snowman, or there's 3 snowmen and an igloo, and some very nice sentiments as well. There's snow one like you, hello winter, hello, I'm snow in love with you. They're just so sweet, really nice little sentiments. And the paper pack, I think, is absolutely delicious. There are so many papers here that I can see some great uses for. Some really good small prints for backgrounds perhaps, and then some other larger pieces that you can use as toppers on cards. These are double-sided. That always makes life more difficult because you have to choose, and look at these, those colours are just beautiful. Absolutely love those patterns, and really cute little penguins and snowmen, and really, really lovely non-traditional wintry papers. Very, very nice. I think it's a great selection. Absolutely love those. And then there's a die. So this is a twirling ice skater die. I haven't cut this out yet, but you can see it's a nice size of die. And then the papers are blue and a lighter blue and white. There is a red envelope. This is a brilliant, brilliant deep red envelope, and there are some black tags. These have got a really smooth finish on them, and the other thing that I like about these is this sort of, it's almost coppery, goldy, browny eyelet cover at the top, eyelet protector at the top, and I think that's quite nice. That gives me some ideas for how that might work with some of the browns that we have in the papers, but I'm not going to preempt what we're going to make. That's what's in the kit. Now we'll move on and see how we can make 10 cards using this kit. I've cut one of the images from the paper pack and I've paired it with another of the paper backgrounds. I've got a white top folding card and I'm going to glue the background paper onto this white card. This is a piece of laminated perspex that I'm going to use to back this little frame that I've cut as well. Everything's glued in place, and now I'm going to use some foam sheets, which I use a lot in place of the rolls that you can buy that are pre-glued. I find I get loads of value out of these foam craft sheets, and they're very easy to use, and you can glue exactly the shape and size that you want on anything. So I'm preparing my frame because, as you can tell, this is going to be a shaker card. I'm using some Nouveau confetti. I'll provide a link to the one that I'm using below the video, along with links for everything else, and I'm just sprinkling this in the centre of my card so I know exactly where it will be. And then I'm going to get some glue and I'm going to glue up around the outside, the inside edge of my frame, and I'm going to stick this into position. I'm going to use one of my stamping blocks to hold this down, and when I shake and check it works, it works. I'm going to complete this card using some of the glossy accents, and I'm using them as little droplets so they will dry and look like little snowflakes. And that's my card complete. For card 2, I'm preparing my penguin. This is the larger penguin from the stamp kit, and I'm just inking it up with plain black ink, and to make it stand out a little bit more I'm going to heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder. I'm going to heat this from below so that you can see the transformation. There it goes. You can see the embossing powder melting nicely, and I've cut my penguin out, and now we're going to start playing with some of those pom-poms. I've had pom-poms in kits before and not known what to do with them, so I really wanted to focus on this. I'm using the thread from the kit and I've put a knot in the end. I'm going to trim off the excess, and then I'm going to thread my needle through the pom-pom, through the centre of the pom-pom. And as you do this, you'll find there's a dense part in the middle, and that's the bit you want to hit, otherwise your thread won't be captured properly. And I'm going to cut this off at a length of about 10 or 11 centimetres. I've prepared a few of these, and what I want to do is make it look as if my penguin is holding them. So I'm going to secure these to the reverse of the penguin. I've put down some tape runner high tack adhesive because this will help really grab those threads in position. I'm layering these so that all the pom-poms don't arrive in the same sort of clustered area above the head of the penguin. That's why I've got different lengths, and some will be higher and some will be lower. Again, I'm using my craft foam to back my penguin. This is useful because it means that your penguin will be lifted up to about the same depth as the pom-poms are. When I glue my penguin into position, you get an idea of how the final card will look, and I'm going to use one of the smaller sentiments, and I'm just going to take some black ink and stamp that below the penguin onto a piece of paper that I've used and I've cut down from the paper pad. You'll notice with the colour matching on this, there's a nice blue from the card kit going in behind that the colours are very simple. I tend not to overcrowd with colour because I think it's visually quite difficult to reconcile lots of rainbow colours, and that's why I tend to stick with maybe 2, maybe 3 colours and not go too crazy with them. They can be as bright or as neutral as you want, but just be a little careful in not confusing the brain with too many different colours or strengths of tone. I used my stamp block again to hold those little pom-poms into position when they were glued. For card 3, it's not a card, it's a bookmark. I really like these smooth black tags, they're lovely, and I wanted to get in this cute little Santa, such a sweet little Santa, and I also wanted to make something that is practical and functional. I'm now adding some of the snowflakes that I've already put onto some little round stamp blocks, and again I'll provide a link to those below the video because they're always very popular. And now I'm going to add some white embossing powder and I will heat set all of my tag. I'm using the gel pen to add little white dots of snow all throughout the snowflakes. It's a little difficult to see on camera, but it does give a lovely little finished effect. Now I've got my white thread again, and I'm going to use the white pom-poms this time. Whereas before I threaded through individual pom-poms, this time I'm going to add about 6 or 7 to each strand of my thread. I'm just going to keep on adding those. Now that I have them, I've strung one of the strings through the hole in the top of the tag, and I'm just going to secure those with a knot, and I'll cut off the excess. So you can see that I've got lots of little pom-poms on there, and all I need to do is arrange them so that they're not all crashing into each other in the same place. And I wanted to show you how I'm going to finish the second piece, because these little pom-poms are small enough that you can push them through the hole in the tag. So you can have 3 on one side and 4 on the other, or however you want to mix it up. And then when you've secured them all, you just arrange them to make sure there's a nice spread of the pom-poms, and then you have a lovely little book tag that can be used if you're reading a nice winter book over Christmas time. You can use your little bookmark. Card 4, I'm going to ink up 2 of the snowmen. At this stage I couldn't decide which of the snowmen I wanted to use. In the end I stamped out 2 and I coloured the second one that I stamped out. There he is, and I'm going to cut him out. Use whatever medium you like to colour in. It could be watercolour, it could be pencil, it could be alcohol markers. I've got a white side folding card, and I've also cut a piece of card from the paper pack, and sadly I have to forego the one on the reverse, the pattern on the reverse, which is so beautiful, but this business about getting your colours to work together, it holds true here as well. So the dominant colours you'll see will be dark blue and white. I cut out a little circle using some round dies that I have, and I'll provide a link to those below. And I'm now inking up a sentiment which I'm going to cover with white embossing powder, and I'll heat set this. I really like that Hello Winter phrase. It covers a nice space at the bottom of the card. I'm taking a little notch out of the snowman's scarf because I want him to sit quite firmly into that frame. And then I'm going to take my craft foam again, and I'm going to cut out thin little strips which I'll cut in half so that they will go around the reverse of my circle. And I'm also going to add a few to my snowman. I'm going to glue it all in place now. There we go. The only additional colour in that card then is the orange from his mittens and on his little carrot nose, but it's just enough of a touch of a colour not to interfere with the main colour theme. I'm making maximum use of the white pom-poms here and using them as snowballs clustered around the base of the snowman, and I think that makes it look quite fun and quite cute. For our fifth card, I'm taking one of the smallest rectangular dies that I have. I'll provide a link to the one that I use below. And I'm trying to identify some of these phrases and sayings. Now I've cut some out. I've cut out 4, and using the next size up and turning my paper over, I've discovered that I could actually get another 4 out of this, and just by being very, very careful about where I cut, and that will give me a matte background for my little phrases, and I think that works really well. In the end, although I cut out 4, I decided to go with 3. These are those, and once again I'm using my craft foam because I'm going to back the sayings before I mount them onto the background. The other thing that I'm going to do is take a dark blue pen. I happen to be using a Copic marker pen, an alcohol marker, and I'm going to add a little line around the outside border so that these backgrounds stand out a little bit more when they're actually secured onto the card base, which is also blue. I've got my Simon Says Stamp Clear Embossing and Watermark ink. I've got my snowflakes mounted and ready to go, and I'm going to use just the plain ink to create a watermark effect on my background. It's really pretty. It's a really effective way to give yourself a background. Now I just want to line everything up and give myself a clue about where I want to put some pencil marks on either side of my base card, and I'm going to take my scissors and just cut a tiny little notch out of those where my pencil mark was, because I'm going to use my white thread again and I'm going to string it around the card, and the notches will help it stay in position. Once I've got enough wound around my base card, I'm going to tie a little bow. I'm not going to show you because I am dreadful at tying bows and you won't learn anything by watching my clumsy efforts. Now I can position my 3 key elements of my card and I will glue them down. And that is my card complete. For my next card, I'm taking one of the snowmen and I've stamped him out fully, but I've stamped out several little versions of him holding that parcel. Now what we're going to do is use colour to give ourselves lots of different parcels, but obviously those little red things that I've coloured in to begin with are his mittens, but when we cut the parcel out we'll cut off the edge of the mittens, and to make this look like it's a spotty wrapping paper, I'm just adding more areas of red into the parcel so that those mittens will look like an integral part of the design of the wrapping paper on the parcel. I'm adding little dots just for interest, and I'm going to complete my parcel with a blue bow. Again, I'm sticking with core colours, and for this my core colours are black, blue and red. Once I've finished colouring my parcel, when I come to cut it out, on either side where the snowman has got his mittens holding the parcel, I'm just going to cut straight past them. So I won't cut around the little bumps of his mittens, I just cut them straight off, and then we've got a nicely wrapped parcel. And I'm going to continue colouring in the rest of those parcels, and then I'll cut them all out so I'm ready to assemble my card. I've cut out a frame using a paper which reflects the colours I'm using, red and blue, and this is a piece of tracing paper that I've also cut, and I'm going to put this in the frame, so I'm gluing this into position now. Once again, I'm using my craft foam. This time I'm using it to create a hill. So I'm going to cut it in a little wave, and this will be exactly the same width as my card base, and it will go behind my snowman. My snowman is going to sit on the top of this tracing paper. I'm gluing my snow hill into position, and then I'm going to cut some more craft foam to go around the rest of my frame, because this will be a shaker card. It will sit on a lovely soft blue background, but to make that background a bit more interesting, I'm going to use my glossy accents in a different way. I'm going to use it as a glue. If you act quickly enough, you can use it as a glue. I did find that I was a bit slow, and so it dried out, but you can use it as glue to adhere little bits and bobs to your cards. And I'm using some more Nouveau glitter. Again, I'll list it below the video. And I'm going to add this to the little spots where I added my glossy accents. And when I put my tracing paper over the front of it, it looks really lovely and subtle. Sometimes you don't want it all to be bling, and this is another way of creating a softness in your card. Because it's a shaker card, I'm going to add more of these confetti pieces, and when I'm happy with the amount that I've added, I can glue the reverse of my frame and I can stick it over the front of this really pretty background. It's a good idea to use your stamping block to help secure the glue in place. Just press it down, because sometimes your hands get dirty as you're working. So I find the blocks are really helpful for helping to keep things in place just until they dry and stick properly. Now I can faff around, and I do faff around a lot. I won't subject you to that, but I will faff around until I decide exactly where I want my snowman and the parcels to go, and then I'll glue everything down. And that will be my card complete. For card 7, we're breaking out the shrink plastic. This is such good fun, and I was really pleased to see that the penguin was large enough that he would probably be able to be shrunk down and used in a different way. I'm using a teal coloured StazOn ink because when you shrink plastic down, the colour will intensify. I'm cutting him out, and once I've cut him out, I'm going to clear away my normal mat, and I'm going to put this on my craft mat so that I can heat my penguin without damaging my table. And I'm showing you this all the way through. You'll see how it crinkles up. Don't be scared. Make sure you've got something like scissors to hold it in place so that it doesn't blow away, and just keep heating it. And as soon as it's heated as small as it will go, put a block on top so that it sits flat. Once as it cools, it will be nice and flat. I've taken an orange marker pen to colour in his beak. The reason I'm doing this after I've shrunk the penguin is because if I'd done it before, that orange would have gone really, really deep and intense, and I wanted it to stay quite light and bright. I'm taking one of the sentiments and I'm going to ink this up, and I'm using a Simon Says stamp embossing powder that came from a kit back in the summer. It's a lovely steel blue. That will go across the front of my blue base card, and I'm going to stick 4 little shrunk penguins on the top of it. Now I'm taking my white pen, and I know you can't see this on camera because I've tried to show it, but I'm adding lots of tiny little dots, and it looks like they're in a little snow blizzard. For my next card, I'm starting with a piece of paper from the pack, and I've cut a frame from this. I'm going to use both the centre and the outside frame. I've got a white die cut of the twirling dancer, and she will sit in the middle of the card. I've got a white side folding card, and I want to make sure that I get my background piece exactly in the centre of my card, so I'm using the frame to help me position it. I've got some glue ready, and as soon as I'm absolutely sure that it's going to be in the right place, I'm going to put glue on the reverse, and then I'll glue it back down inside that frame so I know it's exactly in the right place. I'm going to get some craft foam again and cut it down and glue strips onto the reverse of my frame, but this isn't going to be a shaker card. This time I just want to lift the frame up from the background card. I'm going to add foam to the back of my twirling skater as well, and that way the frame and the dancer will both be on the same level, and there will be depth between them and the background of the card, and it adds a little bit of extra interest to the card. To complete this card, I've stamped out Missing You, one of the sentiments from the kit, in black ink. I've put it onto a piece of white card, and I'm going to glue that at the bottom of this card. There's a couple of extra things you could do. You could have the skater holding a snowball, or you could have the skater juggling with some snowballs if you wanted, just to show how versatile she really is. I've decided not to go with any of those options. I'm going to leave it completely plain. I've got a piece of waste card here, and I'm going to stamp out the igloo in black ink, and then I'm going to cut all around it. I've got two Distress Oxides. They are Cracked Pistachio and Tumbled Glass, two of my favourite colours. I'm using a dry baby wipe to apply these, and I just want to add a sort of a cloud of colour. I've started with the blue, and I'll complete with the green. I really like the soft background that this is going to add to our card. My igloo is going to be positioned about 2/3 of the way up the card in the middle of that cloud. And then I'm going to take some pom-poms. I'm not going to glue them on as whole pieces. I'm going to cut them in half, because that way you get a nice fluffy sort of snow effect. And once I've cut a few of these out, you'll see what I mean. They look all nice and fluffy and like a cloud. And I'm going to take some glue, and I'm just going to glue these around the base of the igloo. I'm taking one of the snowflake stamps, and I'm using the blue ink just to add a little bit of interest around the top of that igloo. I've used black ink to ink up the sentiment that says "Wanna build a snowman," and I'm going to stamp that at the bottom of my card. I've taken a white side folding card. I've got my baby wipe again and my tumble glass blue. I'm going to add a very thin border around the outside of my base card. This is a very useful cheat if you're trying to conserve card, or if you don't have exactly the colour that you want. And it also means that, as we've talked about colour throughout this video today, it means that you're sticking with the same colour theme. You're not confusing it with a different colour of blue. And that's my card nearly finished. I'm going to use the glossy accents again. This time I'm going to use them like little dots in between the snowflakes. For our final card, I really liked this piece of paper that had mittens on one side and that sort of brown waffle on the other side, and I wanted to use both, and it was a really difficult choice for how I was going to be able to do this, and in the end this is how I've done it. It's a very plain, very simple card. I've made it look as if there's far more matting and layering going on with that brown card than there actually is, because of course I don't have very much of it, just with the 6-inch square sheet, so I had to make sure I got the most out of that I possibly could. I'm using a block just to smooth everything down, and on the reverse of that block I've got my sentiment that says "I'm snow in love with you." And to complete this, I've added two little hearts at the top and the bottom of that sentiment, again in black ink, and it just finishes the card off, and it means that because I've used a long strip of paper, the design looks as if it's more in keeping with that shape. All I need to do now is cut off the excess from the edges, and then my card will be complete. Of course, you could add glossy accents into the heart, into the centre of those hearts if you wanted to. I've left it plain. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of all of the cards that we've made today, along with a little music. And until we meet again, take care.